Hey there, happiness seekers. Welcome to Elevate Daily, where we seek to give advice that can make your lives brighter and more fulfilling. Let me ask you something. Have you ever looked around at other people's lives and felt like everyone else is moving ahead while you're somehow stuck behind? Maybe someone your age is already successful, already married, already financially stable, already confident about their future, and meanwhile, you're still trying to figure things out. If that feeling sounds familiar, I want you to hear something important today. You are not behind in life. You're just comparing yourself in a way that makes it feel that way. And once you understand why, you might finally stop carrying that quiet pressure that's been weighing on you for so long. And before we dive in, if you enjoy thoughtful conversations about happiness, growth, and navigating modern life, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Elevate Daily. Now, let's explore this together. Let's start with the obvious truth. Comparison is everywhere now. And not normal comparison, curated comparison. Every day we see highlight reels of other people's lives. Achievements, vacations, relationships, fitness transformations, career milestones. And our brains naturally start measuring. Why am I not there yet? What am I doing wrong? Why does everyone else seem ahead of me? But here's the problem. You're comparing your behind the scenes to someone else's edited moments. You see your confusion, your uncertainty, your bad days. But you usually only see other people's polished outcomes. And that creates a distorted sense of reality. Because you're not comparing fairly. Now, here's something even deeper. Most people assume life has a fixed timeline. Graduate by this age. Build a career by this age. Get married by this age. Have everything figured out by this age. But where did those timelines actually come from? Society, culture.
Social expectations, not reality. Human lives are incredibly different. Some people discover purpose early. Some discover it later. Some completely change direction halfway through life. There is no universal schedule for happiness. And yet, so many people judge themselves as if there is. Now let's talk about something important. Feeling behind is often less about your actual life and more about your perception of progress. Because progress isn't always visible. Sometimes growth looks dramatic, but most of the time it looks quiet. Healing, learning, becoming more self-aware, building resilience, starting over. These things may not look impressive online, but they matter deeply. In fact, some of the most important growth happens internally. And because internal growth is invisible, people often underestimate how far they've actually come. Now here's something social media rarely shows you. Many people who look ahead in life feel lost too. The successful person may feel emotionally exhausted. The confident-looking person may struggle with anxiety. The person in the perfect relationship may feel deeply unfulfilled. Every person is carrying struggles you cannot see.
But comparison hides that complexity. It turns human lives into simplified scoreboards, and life was never meant to be a scoreboard. Another reason people feel behind is because they're comparing completely different journeys. Someone else's path may not even align with who you are. Different values, different goals, different circumstances. And yet your brain still says, if they achieved it already, I should too. But success without alignment often leads to emptiness. You don't need their timeline. You need a life that genuinely fits you. Now, let's talk about something subtle but powerful. When you constantly feel behind, you stop appreciating the present version of your life. You treat your current life like a waiting room. I'll be happy when, I'll feel successful when, I'll finally relax when. But if happiness is always postponed into the future, you never actually experience it. Life becomes a constant chase, and even when you achieve something, the goalpost moves again. There's always someone richer, more attractive, more accomplished, more ahead. That's why comparison is endless, because there will always be another person to measure yourself against, unless you consciously step out of the cycle. So how do you do that? First, redefine progress. Progress is not just external achievement. Progress can be becoming mentally healthier, learning emotional balance, recovering from burnout, gaining confidence, becoming kinder to yourself. Not all progress is visible, but invisible progress still changes your life. Second, stop using other people's timelines as evidence against yourself.
Someone else succeeding earlier does not mean you failed. Life is not a race with one finish line. People bloom at different times. Some people peak early, some peak later. Some reinvent themselves completely. And often, the people who take longer develop deeper self-awareness along the way. Third, focus on alignment instead of speed. Ask yourself, what kind of life actually feels meaningful to me? Not impressive, not socially approved, meaningful. Because a slower life that feels authentic is far more fulfilling than a fast life that feels empty. Fourth, limit unhealthy comparison triggers. Be mindful of what you consume. If certain content constantly makes you feel inadequate, anxious, or behind, take a step back from it. Protect your mental environment. Because what you repeatedly expose yourself to shapes your self-perception. And finally, remember how young most people actually are. So many people in their 20s and even 30s believe they've somehow run out of time. But life is long. Long enough to restart. Long enough to grow. Long enough to change direction. You are not supposed to have everything figured out immediately. Very few people truly do, even the ones who seem like they do. Before we wrap up, I want you to reflect on something. If social media disappeared tomorrow, if there were no timelines to compare yourself to, would you still feel behind?
Or would you simply feel like a person learning, growing, and moving through life at your own pace? That question matters. Because often the pressure you feel isn't coming from your life itself. It's coming from the comparison. If this video resonated with you, if you've been carrying the quiet fear that you're somehow late in life, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Elevate Daily. We're building a space where growth feels honest, healthy, and human. And I'd love to hear from you.
Have you ever struggled with feeling behind in life? And what's one thing you've realized about your own journey recently? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your story might help someone else feel less alone. Until next time, stop racing other people. Trust your own path. And remember, you are not behind. You are simply becoming who you're meant to be, at your own pace. I'll see you in the next one.